New York Times called their project charismatic, unique and ambitious. At the same time, The Guardian newspaper acknowledged the duo as marvelous and passionate. The Canadian-Ukrainian project Balaklava Blues and their postmodern tribute to Donbas and Ukraine, all this coming right up on Pro Art. It has been years since we were last here in Ukraine. We have returned and once again showed the project. The war is now in its 5th year. As interested people, we want to dedicate the project and its themes to current events. I believe they'll be able to get the topic across to both Canadian and international audiences. Marko and Marichka Marchik have long dreamed of visiting Ukraine with concerts. In the US, their dreams came true when the duo met Ukrainian filmmakers, the creators of the documentary Myth. We've known each other for a long time, since Smith debuted in the US when it was on a film tour, and then we maintained the warm relationship. When the duo decided to go on a Ukrainian tour, they made possible themselves. I only could offer my help. Marko Marchik is a musician and the founder of the Canadian band Lemon Bucket Orchestra. This artist of Ukrainian origin was born and raised in Toronto. Marichka Marchik, originally a resident of Kiev, a singer and a songwriter for such bands as Bozici, Sansa Cloche and Cuckoo Chanel. Now the couple live in Canada and go on music tours all around the globe. For the first time ever, Kyiv and other Ukrainian cities had the opportunity to learn about this unique duo from Canada. In the space of 2 weeks, our friends helped us to manage the tour successfully. We found some time in between other projects we have to make the visit possible. The support of a large festival called From Country to Ukraine enabled the duo to visit different regions in Ukraine. They started with eastern cities Drushkivka, Torez and Popasna. They debuted in the area, though they've known Donbas since the events of Maidan. Although the project is associated with the Donbas region, the performance itself was new for them. The audience received them positively. The duo presents themselves as underground. Their works are relevant, original, and reflect on the reality of Ukraine being at war. The musicians created a special set which synthesizes electronic music with the elements of Berlin techno, Atlanta blues, and New York hip-hop, based on the notion of Ukrainian folk tales. Everything we do as one. The vast majority of songs originate from the left bank of Ukraine, from the Dnipro and Donetsk regions, and in part, they're from Donbas. They're inspired by the folk songs of eastern Ukraine. Surprisingly, the eastern part of the country is less used to such performances in music. I think that the festival From Country to Ukraine has introduced the format by staging concerts on a regular basis, and the general public there are ready to receive such music. These audiences are happy when their cities hold such large festivals with all kinds of musicians. Unfortunately, it's a global show that occurs once a year in the region. Balaklava Blues emerged as a unique music project for Canadian, US, and European audiences. The reason behind the band's creation is the lack of artistic response to events taking place in Ukraine. The band says their goal is to tell the truth using the language of art. Our friends, our circle, and the diaspora, of course, know about the situation. However, if we take Canadians in general, they know very little. When we staged the first concert, people were shocked. It's strange how events in Syria are highlighted, but similar events in Ukraine, which is in Europe, are missed by the public eye.
В принципі, дуже похоже відбувається в Україні, в Європі.
I'm convinced that the project is significant in the context of being produced by members of the Ukrainian diaspora living in Canada. Marco is ethnically Ukrainian and Marichka is from Ukraine. Crucially, the topic becomes visible through modern music. Marco and Marichka met during the Maidan Revolution. They volunteered when the war began and helped in the East. They saw and experienced a great deal together. For instance, we got to know each other during the revolution. Then we got married, and now we have a beautiful daughter. There are quite a few stories like that. At the same time, we thought continually about how to express our concern and emotions about these events. It is not simply the performance. Behind each word, there is the fate of a human being, life, emotions.
Алло.
Привет, зайка.
Привет.
Чё там, как делишки?
Да вот, к завтрашнему дню маленько готовимся.
We chose every frame carefully, and every song contains value. We were inspired by true stories that we heard from our friends and acquaintances. I would call it a combination of scientific, documentary, and humanistic approaches. We concentrated mostly on the music. However, we enlisted many people for the project, and they elaborated the visual part for the concept. According to the artist, the show is a musical and theatrical performance. The music videos make use of archive footage and emphasize the situation in eastern Ukraine. Trilaminar video installations interspersed with animation narrate astonishing stories. Roman Lubey, Kyiv director and member of Film Association Babylon 13, worked on the visual content. All ideas are the product of collective brainstorming. We challenge each other, and in the end we get a solid joint project. We realize that there are some elements that we experienced in war or revolution that are far from the major theme of death and grief. They can be love, involvement in society. Creators admitted that the group designed an unexpected and daring mix of songs with visual narrative. The folk music is layered on top of modern beats. The visuals transform the meaning of these songs. The genre is described as hypnotic collage. The visuals have a purpose and support the music set. There are war footage and documentary scenes involved that are intertwined conceptually. The cartoons used have a similar purpose, as they bear a nostalgic leitmotif. Yet if we look at them closely, we can spot propaganda. If we were to later listen to the album and watch the concerts in unison, we'd understand each element as the intent to illustrate the layering of our culture. The song Boom Boom is based on the Luhansk folk song about the bride who waits for the rain to stop at her parents' house. The rain turns into a hailstorm and ruins her life. Balaklava Blues modifies the song's meaning. The song then tells of the bombardments that erase the peaceful lives of people and leave them completely unprotected. We want to show that this is Ukraine as it is, because it's not simply the sound of gunfire or explosion. Those are events that people witness every single day. It is part of a very long discussion. Why did we take those elements? Why the polyphony in the videos? Why cartoons? Why films? Why specifically these films? How did it affect the people living and fighting in Donbas? How does this form the human perception of those people who are hidden behind balaklavas? The clip employs scenes directed by group Babylon 13, clips from the movies Earth by Soviet-Ukrainian director Alexander Dovzhenko, inspired by Soviet-Ukrainian director Mikhail Kaufman, as well as scenes from Soviet cartoons. The character of Winnie the Pooh, a teddy bear, is interpreted as the occupier who attempts to steal territories instead of honey. When singing about concerns, we achieve understanding through the folk music. In this manner, we associate the blues with folk, since the blues connects people in their sorrow and provides a powerful source for them to endure their pain, so that they can continue to live. At some point it is therapy. The project helps us to process the stressful events and cope with them. Moreover, we dream that the music would benefit others in terms of healing. I feel as if our people suffer from Tokyo syndrome, which is the fear of gatherings in confined spaces. So we need to look the war in the eyes and its consequences and stop waving flags and singing patriotic songs.
Треба з нього виходити через те, що дивитися в очі війні, а не тільки якби махати прапорами і співати патріотичних пісень.
The musicians are now well recognized not only in Canada and Ukraine, but in other countries around the world. Notably, Prime Minister of Canada and President of Ukraine were among the first spectators of their new Balaklava Blues set at the opening of the Invictus Games in Toronto. The show means Games of the Undefeated, a gala concert for members of the Ukrainian diaspora who greeted Ukrainian veterans. Of course, representatives of both countries were at the show. The sound check went great. We sang the first 3 songs and received a positive response. Then many people wanted to talk to us in person.
Всім дуже сподобалось. До нас там персонально підходило дуже багато людей.
The band performs around the world. To be precise, they sometimes deal with stages and environments that are far from the notion of comfortable. The band handles all these challenges well, which not everyone can endure. We travel a lot, so we try to create a positive environment wherever we go. Our life is associated with being on the move. I perceive it as our fate. It's something that we need to do. There was a time we thought our place is in the field and we have to fight. There was a time when we thought about going to the front line and fighting. Yet our friends who serve in the military made us accept our role as people who must talk about traditional culture and modern history of Ukrainians, for those who live and fight for the culture.
І сучасну історію українців, які живуть і воюють за ту культуру. Во ім'я Господа Ісуса Христа!
This Ukrainian-Canadian band has reinterpreted the old ceremonial song Arrow. The song is about a bolt of lightning which killed a fine fellow, and his relatives are unable to move him. In their version, they use glitch hop and combine it with folk motives. The dramatic visual collage of old films, war archives, and Soviet cartoons underline the atrocities and absurdity present in the Donbas War. No one remained indifferent after the Donbass rave by the Marchik duo with its visual installations. People from Toronto showed their admiration, and the artists gained confidence that there would be future meetings in Ukraine and with Ukrainian audiences, because only native roots inspire and truly nourish their creativity.
I think it's a great new version of folklore mixed with electronic. It's very contemporary, it's super fun, it's really easy to listen to. I'm loving it. It's great to see local friends from Toronto here playing in Kyiv.
It's pretty awesome. It's really unique, really interesting. The fact that they're coming here and actually performing and coming back, it's awesome that they're doing that.
We have the aim of coming back as often as we can. It's up to audiences whether we come simply to visit or with a new project.